Friday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope you all are having a great day. It is literally, I said it again, literally. It's week 11 in the NFL season, and last night was one of those butt-ugly games that we had on last night. New England, they got the win, but that was just ugly. The Jets actually played better than I thought they would, since they ended up getting rid of Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. I thought that they would just kind of crumble, but it seemed like they were actually playing a little bit better. Still was an unwatchable game. I was literally falling asleep during that game. It was just that bad. Thank you for all of the channel members that kept saying, "Wake up, Mark, wake up," because I would have been literally snoring, leaning on the microphone. Yeah, I snore loud. I snore real loud. But I'm on the road as always, because I'm just always on the road, always going. And I was having a discussion with my wife this morning about Micah Parsons and the situation. And the thing that is really interesting, I guess interesting is like literally. That's another thing that I always say. It's interesting and literal. So I guarantee you, at least in every 5 sentences, you'll get at least one of those words. But for the Green Bay Packers and Micah Parsons, with the whole situation of him taking the bait from Colin Cowherd is a professional troll. He knows how to get up underneath your skin. And most people will ignore the talk, because Colin Cowherd forever has been doing that to Dak Prescott. Going through and talking about how Carson Wentz, he's a Maserati. Dak Prescott, he's only a Corvette. It's a nice car, but it's nothing compared to that Maserati. I dare say that Maserati's probably in the shop a lot more than that Corvette, but that's just me. And I would never, even if I had that kind of money, never spend that much money on a car, because cars is something that just keeps depreciating. But that's me. Be that as it may, when Cowherd is going through and saying, hey, the Cowboys, they made the right move and stuff, because he's not that big game changer. Well, there's a couple positions that we believe are game changers when it comes to NFL games. But I dare say, look at wide receiver, the highest paid wide receivers, the Justin Jeffersons and the Jamar Chases, they're not winning Super Bowls. Those teams that have those guys aren't. The ones that are have the great tight ends. Like when you think about, Kelsey, when you think about Dallas Goedert, when you think about Zach Ertz, when you think about George Kittle. That's right, San Francisco fans. You haven't won one with George Kittle, but you've been there. I'll give you credit on that one. But you need a great tight end better than you need a highest paid wide receiver. And the same can be true when you think about edge rushers. When you look at it, you love the numbers, you love the sacks and everything else. But very rarely do you see the sack leaders that are the highest paid guys winning Super Bowls. Remember when the Raiders traded Khalil Mack? Did that change the Bears? No. But now you've got Micah Parsons, who did to Jordan Love similarly what he did to Dak Prescott. If you may remember when he had his podcast, him and Diggs, they were doing their top 10 lists of quarterbacks and things, and they left Dak off that, which was kind of like, in a way, throwing shade at him. Now, I dare say what he did to Jordan Love, and I don't think it was intentional. Mind you, I don't think it was intentional. I don't think when he sat there trying to defend himself from what Colin Cowherd said, that, he's not making big plays, and he's up there saying, hey, the defense, we did our job. We held those teams to 13 points or under. He didn't think in his mind that this is not going to go good on paper for my offense and my quarterback. And that's the problem, because that's the distraction that the Cowboys decided they're better off with. Now, here's what's crazy. is the Cowboys trade away Micah Parsons. This time last year, we were 3-6. We're 3-5-1. We're no worse than we were with them right now. Now, defense, we can't say that the defense is better without them, but I'm just saying as a team overall, we're not a worse team without them. Now, you have to look at Green Bay, and time will tell if Green Bay is going to be better. Because, see, when you make a move like this, think about this. Green Bay now does not have a first-round pick the next 2 seasons. Green Bay now has a $47 million contract with Micah Parsons. That move is a win the Super Bowl right now type move. Like Von Miller, when the Rams picked up Von Miller and they took a 3rd-round pick, they said this is a 1-year rental because we're trying to go to the Super Bowl. They did that and they let him go. You didn't mind that cost. But if Green Bay ends up being no better than what they were with him, that pressure is really on them. Because now you got Micah, you have less capital to work with, and you don't have those 2 first-round picks the next couple of years to replenish the supply. Now, I don't know what happens to the Cowboys, and this is where my beautiful bride was saying, you know, she feels bad for Dak because she understands that football is short-lived. The opportunities aren't there forever. And Dak Prescott being in his 30s now and playing the way that he's been playing, not having the team to be able to be successful around him is a travesty. This is a repeat of what transpired with Tony Romo. We had a quarterback that was good enough if you have the pieces to go around him. And make no mistake about it, you have to have a complete team. If it was solely about the quarterback, then Aaron Rodgers would be winning a Super Bowl every year, or at least a few years ago, because he was the best quarterback by far, but yet he only has 1 Super Bowl. So we're at a crossroads right now. And this is what I was saying to my wife, is Jerry Jones, the same way that we talked about Dak Prescott, is doesn't have that many more years where he's going to be able to play at this level, and we can look and see how quickly Russell Wilson got old and passé. If the Cowboys continue to do the status quo in looking at bottom tier free agents and not actually going all in and taking advantage of the situation, then Dak Prescott will be Tony Romo. We were looking last night because we were talking about Hall of Fame quarterbacks that haven't won a ring, because somebody had said, does winning a Super Bowl help you as far as getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? And when you look at it, let me see if I can name all of them. Sonny Jurgensen, Fran Tarkington, Dan Marino, I think there's Warren Moon. I think there's 5. Who am I missing? But the reality is, I can't remember who the 5th one is. Fran Tarkington, Dan Marino, Warren Moon, Sonny Jurgensen, Well, if you remember, put it in the description. It might actually be 6. It might be 6. But I want to say Dan Marino is the last one that went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame without having a Super Bowl ring. So that's your legacy. And for everybody who says, hey, Tony Romo's a Hall of Famer, I'm sorry, I can't put him up there and say Dan Marino. It would be a travesty if we don't get that thing done. And this is where the Cowboys have to recognize penny pinching and and believing in our own guys isn't going to get it done. But also, for the Green Bay Packers, there's a lot of pressure there right now. There's a hell of a lot of pressure with the move that they made for Micah Parsons. All right, you good people, as always, I appreciate you guys, and hope you guys have a great day, and keep the faith. Peace.